Well, welcome, friends. For those of you on the recording today, we're going to end in a restorative pose. Did I hit play on this? I'm always like, did I do it? It starts off so quiet. Okay, I did do it. We're going to end in a restorative pose, so go ahead and grab like a pillow from your bed and make it like a nice squishy one, so you can like grab two or something. Um, a nice folded over blanket would work fine too. And then I have two blocks sitting here ready for practice. If you use blocks during practice, great. If you use a strap, any of those things are fine. But you will want to have either two blocks or two like stacks of books or really thick books. We'll use those a little bit later. So if you use them in practice, have them handy. If you don't, just set them aside and know that you'll want those at some point. I left my notes over here. We're gonna work into a nice heart opening practice today, a very expansive space in the heart. And I've been really touched lately by that line from that Mary Oliver poem where she talks about, I tell you this to break your heart, not that it shatter, but that it may never close again to the rest of the world. There was a show that happened. Actually, I got to go see a band yesterday. Two of my friends, I have friends who were in a band, and they were playing with another band friend of theirs. So we had the whole venue, and it was just very like everybody's wearing masks and like weirdly separated, and it was weird to be in this place where it's like, this isn't what I expect out of going to a show, because I've had like, the first 30 something years of my life where I go to this thing and I do this and I have these expectations about it. But although things are going to keep moving back in that direction, it's not going to be exactly like that again. Like, I'm not going to experience music the way that I used to. Maybe at some point, but like for the foreseeable future, this is going to be my new reality. And so I can be hardened to it and feel weird about it because my expectations didn't match what the reality was, like we were talking about last week. Or you can allow the feelings that come up, if it's disappointment, if it's confusion, and to feel the feelings rather than overthink about them, and then be in this space where I am expansive and stretchy enough for all things. Every time I try to bring a heart-opening practice into our bodies, it's not just like, let's boom, expand like right into here. It's also being expansive in all areas around this space, right? Like the heart lives inside of us, and so we have this energetic quality all around on all sides. So we want to have like some side length and some shoulder freedom up at the top, have some twists, and then feeling balanced in the back. And so not everything has to be all exactly our first impulses of something, but to rather have this full spectrum experience where sometimes we have these moments of heartache that then can create space for more things, or maybe just like a little bit of like discomfort that'll create space for more things. I hope that this practice will be super comfortable. Don't lose it every time I say the word discomfort when I'm starting off. People are like, I don't know. But this should be a nice cozy practice. We're gonna start with the index finger and thumb together, doing our face brushing from the center of your forehead outwards towards your temples a few times. From the sides of your nose out to your temples, on your cheekbones. From temples down to your chin. From the sides of your nose down to your chin. And then massaging that space behind your ears that feels so nice, and you lift up from that point, feeling that nice lift into your spine. Taking a nice deep breath in, and then keeping that lift as best you can when you rest your hands down into your lap. Just taking a moment to soak in this moment. I was also thinking when I was taking a walk today, like kind of almost rainy and blustery, and it's dark and cold, and it was so beautiful and sunny yesterday. And I'm generally more of the beautiful and sunny sort of person. And I'm taking this walk and things aren't exactly how I would create them if I had the powers to do so, but just deciding that this is okay too. That I can be in love with this moment even if it wasn't exactly the moment that I would have created had I had the power to do so. Take another deep breath in through your nose. Big exhale through the mouth. And again, like that. For 3, hold. We're going to come into child's pose as our first pose of the practice. So if there's anything you need to adjust, if you need to pat your knees, please do that. When you do back into this child's pose, I think you should move around a little bit for me. So especially if your hips are like way up here, giving yourself some wiggle room. And if you need to take some time to wiggle it back, even if your hips come all the way back to your heels easily, give it some wiggle room. If you can rest your head on your head on the floor, please do so. You just can't hear me if I do that, so I try not to do so much. Just a little dancing, yeah? And follow your danciness, your feels, your wiggles and shifts, trying to explore and open up any space that's available to you. And eventually you will settle a little bit more into the shape. You'll find a place that might have a little bit more room for you to soften in. And then rest your forehead down if you haven't already. Let's take another 2 deep breaths together. And then look up, lift yourself back up to your hands and knees. We're going to thread the needle, and I'm going to give you the option to come back towards child's pose when threading the needle. So just go ahead and take one arm and slide it underneath. I always try to go towards you folks. It doesn't matter what arm you start with. You can stay here, hips above your knees, or maybe you start to slide that towards child's pose. And it's just going to depend on your body and your shoulders and your hips and your shape until you find a place that seems good for you. So this might be great. You might think that it's kind of torturous, and maybe this was a better place for you to rest. I want you to find a place that feels good to you. This child's pose, threaded the needle, is just an option. Let this be a soft variation of threading the needle. Just relaxing the back of the shoulder. Maybe wiggle your hips around a moment just to be sure that they're as soft as possible. Take 2 more breaths. And try to lift yourself up off of that shoulder, unwind the arm, and then slide the other side through. So you can stay here on the outside of your shoulder, or start to slide yourself back, threading your child's pose or threading the needle, wherever your hips go that's best for you. 2 more breaths. And starting to look forward, lift up, coming back onto your hands and knees, and then wiggle your knees in line underneath your hips. Come up onto fingertips if it's better than your wrists. Let's work through a few cat cows. Breathing in, looking up, and exhaling, rounding inwards. Moving with your breath a few times. Finishing up this round of breath. Coming back towards a more neutral spine. Walk your knees back a little bit, or maybe your hands forward. Lean your heart forward and so above your thumbs. Open your chest and come open-hearted down to the ground as slowly as you feel inclined to. Then you're gonna slide, let's say your left arm out, roll over onto your left side, and try to stack your hips and stack your feet. If you're having a hard time with this, go ahead and let one foot rest in front of the other, but still try to stack your hips so you aren't leaning backwards or forwards too much. And then you're gonna take your right arm, you're gonna bring it on top of your left hand. The left hand has to reach up to meet it. And then press into your hands, reach them away from your head. Reach your toes and your legs out long away from your hips. If your elbows are bent, if that's better for your shoulders, maybe the bottom arm doesn't come up and you just reach both arms outwards here. Take it as long as you can. Try to find your breath. Big breath in. Big breath out. Now for fun, try to do this without putting your hands on the ground. Can you roll over to lay on the other side? Put your hands together. Try to stack your hips and your feet. Oh, this is the hard side. There's always one side that just doesn't want to do this. This is my side. Oh, man. Okay, find it as best you can. Push into the hands. Reach them away from you. Reach your feet away from you. Woo-wee. Still breathing, ideally. One more big breath in. And exhale. And then you're going to try to, without putting your hands down to help you, roll all the way back to your other side again. You can stay laying on this arm. This time we're going to bend into the knee, reach back, and hold on to your foot. You can always use the strap if that feels better to you. Notice my knee lifted up. Very common thing in order to be able to grab onto the foot. I'm going to try to bring the knees back down in line, release my top shoulder, and hug that heel in towards your tush. Now the more long you make your bottom leg, the harder it is to balance. I'm anticipating the other side is going to be really hard based on the first version of this that I took. I'm just going to prepare to be kind to myself or laugh about that. One more round of breath. And then slowly, you're going to release this top foot. Try not to put your hands on the ground. Roll over to the other side. Then try to stack your hips. Stay in one long line. Reach back and hold onto that top foot. You want to try to get thighs in line, hips forward, shoulder release. The longer line you make with the body, the harder it is to balance. So you need to bend the bottom leg. Bend at the hips. You can do that. Try not to bend in the front of your top leg though. Try to open that space up. Big breath in. Big breath out. And slowly release that top leg. Ooh, come over onto your belly. Bring your hands in by your ribs. Push yourself back up to table pose. And then you're going to bring your right foot outside of your right hand. Wiggle it forward as much as you're able to. And come up onto fingertips, maybe up onto blocks or stacks of books. And let your hips and your heart just Rest them forward. A gentle opening of the front body, a gentle opening of the heart. Letting your collarbones widen. About 2 more breaths. Then take your hips back a little bit so you have some room to turn your knee and your toe out. Maybe your left hand comes even more forward as your hips come forward. And then you can put your right hand on your thigh to open that top shoulder, or you can reach back towards your back foot. If your back foot would like you to hold on to it, you are welcome to. If it does not want you to hold on to it, it'll let you know through your knee or other various body parts. You just honor that for yourself. Really, I get almost no greater thigh stretch. It's just a different thigh stretch whether I'm here or I'm here. Open that heart, lift it up. Out of that bottom shoulder. Big breath in. Big breath out. And gently release that top foot. Come to face forward, and you're going to wiggle your right foot back in line. So coming into that lunge that we're a little more familiar with, and then the hands come up onto the heart. Try to take your hands behind your back. See if you can bring the heels of your hands really close to each other. Maybe you can make prayer hands up and behind your heart, like so. Which may not happen, and you're just going to let that go because we're going to do another prayer hands in a moment. Big breath in. Ooh, exhale. And then to release your hands, now you're going to bring your palms together and try to bring them back behind your head. You want to have your elbows up. Palms back behind your head. If you can bring your elbows in closer, great. You need to have your hands interlaced behind your head like so. Also great. You're going to let the hips rest forward, the front foot presses down, and reach the elbows out. So they might go open to the sides, or they might go up and out. And then rest your head back towards your hands. Oh my gosh. Balance. One more breath in. Exhale, start to release the back bend. Release your arms. And you're going to take the right leg back. Then bring in the left foot up and outside of your left hand. Wiggle it as far forward as you can. You're on fingertips or you're up on blocks or both. Letting the hips rest forward and the heart rests forward. The shoulders rest a little bit more open. One more round of breath. Then come back with your hips a little bit so you can turn the left knee to toe out. Maybe the right hand comes forward. Left hand is either at the left thigh, or you're going to reach it back, opening from your heart into both hands. Feeling your chest stretch open, your hips relax forward. Summoning the back foot if that is appealing and desirable to you, and not if it's a struggle. We'll do other things to do more stretch of this thigh. Big breath in. Softening into your exhale, maybe release that top shoulder a little bit more. And then if you've got the foot, gently release it. Come to face towards the front. Wiggle your left foot in a little bit more. So not crossed over the front of your right, but coming in so that you can come up to this lunge. And then you're going to take your hands, you can either put your hands at the lower back and open the shoulder. You can bring the backs of the hands together into your back, or maybe you can find that reverse prayer position, elbows down, heart up. One more breath like this. And start to release your hands from that place. Now you're going to take the palms together up and behind your head, or interlace the fingers up and behind your head. And the heart still lifts up, Try to rest the head back, release the shoulders and the elbows away from your body. Big breath in. Exhale, soften something. Then release your hands. You're gonna take that left leg, go ahead and slide it back. And then you're gonna roll over to come onto your butt. Now you can do this on your back, laying down on the floor if it feels a little bit better to you. But I kind of like this variation. So instead of taking reclined pigeon, taking seated pigeon. So your ankle's gonna come up on your knees. You're gonna walk your hands up as far towards your hips as you can to get your heart up towards your shin, and then holy heck hip stuff going on. Flex this foot, keep your knee joint stable. You might have your hands all the way back here. You might be a little bit more relaxed in your spine, that's okay. But try to get the spine long, even if you have to lean back a lot. You're just trying to move the heart up towards your shin, not to your shin. My heart's not gonna touch my shin here, it's going towards it. More breath. Exhale, soften the heart. In fact, unwind the side. Kind of interlace your fingers around your knees and relax your heart back. Soften the belly back towards your spine. One more exhale. And lift yourself up. You're going to take the left ankle behind the knee. And I said you could do this on your back, right? And have this slightly more familiar variation, the thing we do most of the time. This is a lot more intense. You make it as intense as you want to. Flex your foot. Heart moves in the direction of the shin, even though it'll probably never ever touch the spine. Two more breaths. Then you're going to release that leg, come back. Again, just interlace your fingers behind your knees and just relax your back backwards. And start to lift yourself up. You're going to keep your right foot planted, extend your left leg out, and take your left hand back about a foot away from your hip. We're going to come up into wild thing or flip the dog, but we haven't flipped the dog to get here. So just finding that space. You're going to stand on your right foot and your left hand, lift your hips up. You want to go hips and heart upward. So stargazer is a little bit different, right? You have the thigh, the shin instead of the foot on the floor, but it's also a little bit less up and up and up and forward like this, yeah? Go ahead and rest your hip down. Gonna do the other side. The wild thing, foot down, hand back, press down into the floor. Lift your body up, up, and away. Going up and forward to the ceiling, more so than over to the side. There's a little over to the side, that's okay. One more breath in. And then exhale, relax yourself down. And then roll yourself back over, just come down to lay on your belly for a moment. Rest your head on your arms, your forehead or your cheek, whatever you like. You wiggle your legs back a little bit more, finding more space in your spine. You're going to take your head up, interlace your hands behind your back, and then reach those knuckles back to your feet as you stretch your chest forward, then let the legs float up. Bend the legs a little bit. Lift the thighs, straighten the legs, maybe get your heart up even higher. One more breath in. Exhale, soften it down, release your hands. You're going to press yourself up in a downward facing dog. We won't take a really long visit today, but spread out the fingers. Use a strong heart and armpit space to push into those hands. Wiggle out through your heels a few times. Relax your head. Big inhale. Exhale. And then look up and step your feet on the outer edges of your hands. We're going to sit back into a squat. Your squat might be here, or you might adjust your feet and do a little wiggle until you find your squat back here. Can you relax your hips and lift your heart up? Can you do this without pinching behind your shoulder blades, which is like a long negotiation in that area? Can you expand in all sides of the rib cage, all of the container of the heart? Big breath in. Big breath out. And then you'll take your hands down from here. I usually need to lift my heels a little bit to come into a forward fold, adjust the feet until they're about underneath your hips. Relax your head. Then fingertips come up halfway up. The half that lifts is the heart. Exhale, soften it down again, and then come all the way up this time. Reach the arms up and open. And then bring your hands in towards your heart. Wiggle your feet closer together so that the big toe edges of your feet touch. Lift your inner thighs. Feel the weight move forward towards your toes, even though you're not lifting your heels. Take the arms up, interlace your fingers in Charlie's Angel Hands or zero moon breath. And then get even taller still on your next inhale. Exhale, side bend up and over towards the right. Push down strong into your left foot. One more breath in and another breath out. And then come up towards the center, up and over towards the left side. Stay there as you breathe in, get longer. Exhale, perhaps to go a little bit deeper. And then come up to the center again, resting your hands down into your heart. Take a big step open on your mat, on your space. And instead of having the toes facing directly forward, which they often do, can you bring the toes to face out just ever so slightly? Now when you do these shifts, now you're pushing the pinky toe edges of your feet. It's going to open the outer leg line, and it's also going to activate the outer hip. We're moving to a side lunge or skandasana. The hips are going to go back. Bend into your left leg, sit your hips back. Still standing on both feet. I didn't move over towards this leg, but I'm bending this one and not this one. I'm getting this big inner thigh space. Feels good. Leave your hands at your heart. You can open your arms out like wings. Try that. Can you open your wings out without jamming the back of your wings? Big breath out. Get all the way up. Lift the arms, reach the heart up to your fingertips. Bring the hands back to your heart. You're going to bend down into your right leg, so your hips back. Not over to the right, but back. Down into the pinky toe edges of both feet, activating outer line. Arms open if that feels interesting and fun and exciting to you. Your breath. One more breath in. One more breath out. Stand up tall with two straight legs. Reach the arms up. Press those hands back down to your heart. You're going to turn all the way over towards your, let's go left side because I did that one. Really, you're going to turn the toes all the way over and then set up for warrior one. So you're going to bend into the front leg. Take your arms behind your back. Stretch the heart open and then take it forward in a humble warrior. Push again into the pinky toe edges of your feet. Lift your inner thigh muscles. Relax your head. Let your shoulders release from your torso. Pick it up with your breath. Keep pulling that left thigh bone towards your back foot. One more exhale. And release your hands. Scoop them up. Warrior one. Bring your hands together behind your head. See if you can lift your heart up to your elbows, and elbows can go wide instead. You're lifting up long through your spine, softening the shoulders, even though there's a lot going on over there. One more breath in. Exhale, stack the spine, release your arms. And then we're going to switch over to the other side. So you shift your feet, you have to shift the positioning of your feet. Pushing those pinky toe edges, keep those legs strong, arms behind your back. See if you can interlace your fingers the other way. So go the way you normally do, and then do it the way that feels a little bit wrong. And then take your heart forward as you draw that right thigh bone towards the back foot. Let the heart open, let the head hang down. Finding your breath. Freeing your shoulders from your torso. One more round of breath. Releasing your hands, swooping it up, palms together, back behind your head, rest your head back, lift your heart up, lift your elbows up. Stop trying to lift your shoulders. You're stepping it up. Big breath in. Exhale. Back to spine. Release your arms. And then you're going to bring the feet towards each other. Little things, little. We're going to take Ida Pingala as one of our big balancing poses. So we're going to come down into figure four on one side, and we're going to move from that into dancer's pose on the other side. So if you ever feel the need to like grab a strap in order to hold on to your foot here, you can do that. Hold on to your feet, like don't fake it. That's fine. We won't spend a lot of time in dancer's pose. A little bit more time in Ida Pingala if you want to come closer to a wall space. Okay. Pick a leg to start on. You're going to bend into that knee, sit your hips back, put the ankle on your knee. You can hold it, or you can hold hands. Or for extra fun, take your hands behind your back, and then see if you can reach your knuckles back and your heart forward. Yeah. Let your heart move forward. There's like a resistance to it, like your shoulders want to do the work. You want your heart to do it. And those hips back as well. One more exhale. Then you're going to stand up, unhook your leg, release your hands. You're going to grab out of the inside of that foot. Just push the foot back and you lift the heart forward and up. Doesn't have to be your biggest one. Maybe you do have a lot of space to make it a big one. That's okay, lift your inner thighs. And then start to come out of it. Your feet down, middle thing down. Let's move to the other side. So you're going to take your ankle on your knee. You got to bend your hips back. You go on your knee, hips are back. Try not to let that knee come forward. Hands are here, here, wherever they're helpful. Maybe taking the hands behind your back and balancing on my right side today. Not super easy. Hips back, heart forward. Find your breath. Meet your body where your practice is today. This is hard, weird stuff. One more exhale. Starting to stand up. You're going to take that leg, you're going to hold on the inside of the foot. Oh my gosh. Lift your inner thighs. Do it this way. We'll hold on to the wall. Fine. Lift the inner thighs, send the foot back. Here we go. Maybe you reach the arms forward. Lift those inner thighs. So my hip going out that way. It's one that's worth it. And then one more exhale. And then start to back, set your foot down. Wiggle things out. Whew. I've been running with a friend like way faster than me lately, and I'm so glad I can let my ego go sometimes. You know, I'm like, I'm falling over. Yeah, I'm glad I can let my ego go sometimes. One more pose while we're standing. We're just going to take a wide-legged forward fold. You can keep your arms behind your back if that feels good to you. Or you can just take yourself forward. Letting your hands come down. Push into the pinky toe edges of your feet to release that outer leg line. Maybe wiggle your hips around a few times before you soften yourself down here. And relax your head. One more breath out. A little bend in your knees, hands to your hips, stand yourself up. We're going to come towards the front of your space, bringing your feet together. Hands are downward. We're going to move backwards towards downward facing dog. We're going to move back down to the floor to downward facing dog. You can come straight there. You can go into child's pose right away. Or perhaps you follow us, take a big breath in, lift up. Exhale, forward fold. We're going to inhale halfway up, and we're going to step back into plank pose. And don't stay there for too long. We're going to give 2 breaths, pushing the floor away. Push the floor away. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Drop the knees. Try to keep the chest open. If you rest all the way down onto the floor, let's take cobra pose for a moment. Let the shoulders roll back, the heart go forward. And then let it go. Press back to downward dog or to child's pose. All up to you. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then lower the knees down. If you're in child's pose, start to press yourself up. We're going to come back to a seat. If sitting on your heels isn't good for you, don't even swing the legs out in front of you. You're going to take your hands, you're going to make some circles around in your wrists or some figure eights. And then because trying to remove ourselves from an attachment to our ego is good, you're going to try to go the other way. This feels ridiculous. So your fingers back towards your wrists. Fingers open up. Use the wrists, all of them, and look up. And open it up, and in. And open it. And then come onto your hands and knees back to table pose. You need to be on fingertips here if you want to alleviate pressure from your wrists. We're going to take your right leg up. Turn your right foot over to the left side and try to keep your shoulders open as you reach that leg over. So what helps with that? Reaching from the backs of your shoulders down into your hands. Let that knee open up. Breathe in. Breathe out. Then set the knee down. You're going to take the left leg up and you want to open that knee up. So we're opening the hips. Reaching from the shoulders down into the hands. Trying to keep that energy mostly even. Opening that leg up as fast as you can. Still trying to find your breath. Exhale. And then set the knee down. And you're going to want to have some space right to left, and I never have enough space between me and my altar, so I'm going to open that up a little bit more. We're going to come into plank pose, and we're going to go fast into flipping the dog. We did this before a couple weeks ago, so we're going to work back into it again. We're going to come into plank pose. You're going to push from your shoulders down into your hands, and then bend into your right leg, reach it up, open that knee up until it comes over onto the floor. And you come up into wild things. See, foot presses down, hand presses down, heart presses up. And then you're going to come back to plank. Come back here, find that long line, push down into the floor. Then you're going to take your left foot up. You're going to open that knee up so the foot comes down to the floor. Keep pushing the floor away, lift the heart up. And then come back into plank, flipping it back over. Lower your knees down, sit back in a child's pose. Turn your palms to face up and wiggle your fingers around like you're strumming some sort of stringed instrument. Start to lift yourself up here. We're going to move into flipping all the way from the dog into wild thing. That'll be our big heart opener today. You can do this from plank. You can go down dog and then come into plank and flip from plank, because it's much easier to flip like flat over rather than be like upside down and then right side up ish and then upside down again. There's like a whole bunch of like the orientation change can be very weird, but you've already gone into that shape from many places. That might be accessible to you, or you might decide, not today. Not today, weirdness. Not today, things. So come into downward dog just for a moment. Take a big breath in. Relax your head and your heels, breathe out. Then you're going to take one leg up and you can go to plank pose first. You lift the leg up, open your knee, push strong into both hands. Try to keep your hips up as you're going for down dog. Make sure you're putting your foot down somewhere that's not going to be precarious. Push your foot down and your heart up. You're pushing down strong into that bottom arm. Don't stay too long. Just pull the hips back, bring both hands down, flip it back over, reposition your feet, spread out those fingers, relax your heels and your head. And keep pushing strong. Armpits down to the hands, bend into the left leg. You're gonna open that hip, keep pushing the floor away, open it, open it, open it, open it. And then find your wild thing, push down into the floor. And then you're gonna pull your hips back a little bit. And then slowly down but back, so you can bring both hands down. Flip it back over, finding downward dog. If you can stay here for just a big breath in and a big loud sigh. Then the knees down, back to child's pose. Maybe massaging around your hands and your wrists if that feels good to you. Follow your own intuition here. Maybe wiggle your hips a little bit to find a little bit more space there. One more exhale. Pulling up. Then you can make this transition into pigeon pose from downward dog if that feels great to you. Or we're going to take the right knee forward towards the right hand, the left foot wiggles forward and then slide, or the right foot wiggles forward, the left foot slides back. So get a little bit more space. You might grab a block or a stack of books, tuck it underneath this right hip, as long as you're not sitting over on the left hip because of it. Giving yourself a little more room. Taking this pose on your back. Always a nice modification. Come down and soften for a while. Have an offering of something a little bit different in a moment if you want to. So the hips should be balanced in space. You shouldn't be leaning more to one side than the other. Here if you like, if you want to get a little bit fancy with your visit, you might come back up to your hand. I like to wiggle that left leg back a little bit further, so I want to be on the thigh and not directly on the knee tab if I were to bend into the leg. And then wiggle again. And if you look back over that left shoulder, you might take the foot and grab it with the hand, and then start turning your heart forward. Maybe even kick the foot back, which could lift the heart up a little bit more. And there's further variations of this if you wanted to take them. I'm just going to leave it here for my offerings, but you do what you will with it. Heart lifting up. Leg does not need to be grabbed. Not the whole point of practice today. The whole point is always to be here and breathe. One more inhale. Nothing. Release that foot. We're going to go even further into the hip opening on this side. You're going to take the front knee, scooch it back a little bit. The back knee, scooch it up. Separate your feet and sit back into cow face pose. For most of us, that's probably going to mean grabbing this block and sitting it down underneath our hips, or maybe a pillow or a folded over blanket, or maybe you just love this place and you don't feel like you need anything at all. You're gonna take your, if your right leg is on top, you're gonna take your left arm, I'm not mirroring you right now, you're gonna bring it back behind your head. And the first thing is, can you stop having your head jut out forward and your shoulder jut inwards? Can you relax the shoulder outwards and let your head rest back? You can hold your elbow and take your hands up behind your back. Whether or not you hold hands with yourself, can you press the hands into your back, rest your head back, release your elbows out from each other. Two more breaths. Release that bottom arm. Release the top arm. Walk your hands as far forward as you want to. Just relax your back. So it doesn't even have to be a fold. You just take them here. One more exhale. Then you're going to take your legs, unwind them, and back into your downward dog or table. I'll just show it from table pose. Wiggle things out. We'll start to come to pigeon on the left side. The left knee comes forward, the foot comes in front of the hip. Wiggle that right side back, hips are balanced. Block comes underneath the hip if that serves you. And then coming down and forward, elbows to the floor or on blocks or whatever the heck is supportive and lovely to you. Two more breaths. You can continue staying here or come up towards the hands. Maybe wiggle that leg back more so you can come onto the thigh and not the kneecap so much as reach back and hold the foot. I like to hold the inside of the foot here. It helps with those inner thigh so that you can get balance. And then maybe you push the foot back into the hand. The heart expands forward. Big breath in. Breathing out. Gently releasing this foot. And then you're going to take the front leg back, the back leg up, knees towards each other, feet go open, and the hips rest back onto the floor or onto a block or what have you. And that feels really stable. And then you can take, if you want, if it's your left leg on top, your right arm will come back. You can hold on to it. You can rest your head back. You can wrap both hands up. Whether or not you're holding on to your hands doesn't matter. Open the elbows, rest your head back. Pretty sure my computer has decided that it's dying and I'm going to plug it in. That's weird. It go this long. And then your head resting back. Your hips being heavy. Breath is as steady as you can manage. Three more breaths. And start to release your bottom arm and your top arm. Unwind the legs. Go ahead and come back in a child's pose. You're turning to the shape. Like sometimes I do it a lot, sometimes I don't. Wiggle it out and then find some stillness. Bring your right hand over to the right edge of your mat, your left hand on top of it, rest your head. Push down into both hands. Let the left hip rest back.
Big breath in. Big breath out. The left hand to the left edge, right hand over towards it, push down in both hands, rest the right hip back, rest your head. Starting to unwind yourself, coming back to the center. We're gonna come into standing up on our knees and work into half camel, so one on each side. Roll the toes under, take your hands into your lower back. So your hips go forward. Lift your heart up. You can keep your right hand at your back and lift the left arm up to expand, or you can take your right hand back towards your calf, but then there's more of those hips expanding forward. Relax your collarbones. Reach from your heart up to your hands, bring your heart up off of your hips. Big breath in. Exhale, hips pull back. Move back to neutral. Bring your hands into your hips. Lift your heart up. Stay here with the hand at the hip as you reach the arm up, or the hand goes back towards your heels. Let's press the hips even more forward. Open those collarbones. Relax your shoulders. Relax your neck. Keep moving the hips forward, the heart up. One more breath in. And then lift the belly back. Coming back to center. And then we're going to go ahead and sit back and swing the legs out in front of us. Take your hands in somewhere that's comfy. You can be on fingertips. Lift the toes. Lift your thigh muscles up towards your hips. Lift the backs of the ears up towards the ceiling. Little staff pose. I'm on fingertips here because sometimes having the hands down is pressure on the wrist that we don't need after all the down dog work we did. Just finding this variation. Thinking long, strong spine and body.
This has to be just something in your mind.
Big breath in.
It's not clear, you know that, don't you?
Breathing out. Relax in that shape. We're going to find a lot of that again as we go into this twist. We're going to take the right leg over or leave it twist over here. You're going to take your fingertips back, so nice and close and you're still lifting up. Hug onto the thigh, lift those toes, lift the heart, lift the ears, soften the belly twist. Still straight up and down in the spine, even as you rotate over to the right side. Release your right collarbone. One more long breath in. Deep breath out. Release your twist. Unwind your leg and find the other side. So cross the leg over. Strong leg, strong spine. Hands to support you. Arm to hold the leg in. Lift up as you inhale. Exhale, soften the belly. One more round of breath. Release your twist. Release your legs. We're going to come down onto our backs for a moment. Bringing your knees into your chest. Rocking around a little bit. Let your back massage on the floor. And open your arms and let both of your knees roll over to one side. Wiggle your shoulders more open if that's available to you, and then soften the body, especially the belly. Let yourself be heavy. Finding softness, this weight, and this heaviness.
Deep breath in. Soften something as you exhale. Coming back to the center. Start to roll your legs over towards the other side. Wiggle your shoulders open as you can. Soften your belly. Allow yourself to be held here, to be soft in your body. One more round of breath. Coming back to the center. You're gonna come from here back up to a seat. Go ahead and wiggle yourself up or lift yourself up. We're gonna come back to having the pillow and the two blocks. Like if you have a yoga bolster, that would be great. Most of us don't, so I say grab like a nice thick pillow. So we're gonna set up for our restorative pose, and you might decide to like put something extra underneath your head in this, depending on what your pillow is like. So just kind of knowing you might need to adjust your space a little bit, but you might not know until you get there. So I've got this. I'm gonna sit it back against my hips. It's nice and long ways back there. I got my blocks by my sides. I'm gonna lay down. It's okay for me that my head starts to kind of go back off the edge a little bit. I'm gonna bring my feet together, have the blocks here, and then open the knees. Now my legs feel really open, it feels pretty good just to have the blocks barely touch the outer thighs so that I'm not really getting a lot of support, but it's just that tiny little bit that helps to relieve tension on the inner thighs. You might have the blocks more just underneath your legs, so there really is much less tension. And you can set these blocks on many settings. The middle setting feels a lot better for a lot of people, and the closer you have them to your hips, the more you're going to be supported. The further out, the more your knees will open. And if this doesn't feel good at all, or if you don't have the right like alignment of those, you can always just take your knees towards each other and let yourself be open and supported in the heart here. Now, if you can find the space, can you wiggle your shoulders just a little bit more behind the heart so your arms are more open? And then take the arms open like low airplane wings. So not open totally from the shoulders, not super close to your sides, but in a place where your collarbones can expand. Allowing yourself to be held. Not feeling any tension. You can make some small movements to reduce or alleviate that tension. Please do. And instead, simply being here, open to the breath, open to the sensations that come up. We'll be here for quite a few minutes. So if you need to change where you're at and change how you're positioned, you can totally do that. Maybe you decide to bring the knees together instead. You need to grab something else for behind your head. Please do that. about another minute here. If your legs are still open, bring your fingertips to the sides of your shins. Close the legs in. Your blocks or your books, go ahead and scooch those over towards the sides. And start to roll over to one side so that you can come off of your pillow. I'll tell you what, it feels pretty nice to take Shavasana with this underneath your knees. So if you want to kind of have that handy, just know that it's available. It's an option. I'm going to come onto our backs again real quick though. Bring your knees into your chest. And there's like, I feel kind of like I'm away from the floor and then kind of resting back into it with time, just allowing that softening again. Take your ankles and cross them, reach around to hold on to them. If it feels really good, you can cross your thighs instead of your ankles. And uncross whatever you've got crossed. Start with the ankles on the other side. Go for the thigh crossing if that feels better. And then releasing the cross of your legs. Set the feet down a little bit wider than your hips. Open your arms. Let the knees slowly windshield wiper side to side. Taking as much of a pause as you like. Going from side to side one more time. Ending on the left whenever you get there. And then coming back to center. Wiggle your feet in. Take the left thigh and cross it over the right. Hop your hips over towards the left slightly, and then twist over towards the right until your foot touches. Soften your belly, relax your left shoulder. If you want to go further with the knees down more, you can. Won't be here long. Big inhale. Big exhale. Unwinding as you come back to the center, wiggle the hips back to the center. Cross the right thigh over, hop the hips a little bit more over towards the right, and then the legs come over towards the left and you relax as much as you're able, that right shoulder. Softening your belly. One more round of breath. Then unwinding as you come back to center, wiggle back to center. And if there's any other poses you'd like to go into before finding your final rest, go ahead and do that. I mentioned it can feel really nice to have something underneath your knees, underneath your thighs here. Feel free to grab that pillow and slide it in as you come into Shavasana, or choose another shape or variation, someplace that you can be soft with yourself. Resting, palms up, heart soft, pliable. Feeling the breath in that space.
Taking a moment to relax your eyebrows, maybe release your jaw. And rest very well. Start to come back to your body. Breathing a little bit more deeply. Feeling the rise and the softening of your heart space. The Feels good. Reach your arms overhead, giving yourself a good morning stretch. Lean into more spaciousness to greet the rest of your day. And then roll yourself over to one side, pausing as you turn inwards in gratitude for your practice and in gratitude of the work that you do here. You start to come up into your own version of a comfortable seat, hands at your heart, your expansive, open, stretchy heart. Seal our practice, releasing an Om together. Big breath in. Bowing down to the love and light and the darkness. All of these things that reside within our hearts. Namaste. Thanks, friends.